Hi everyone, this is DeFi Dad, and today I'm going to walk you through a tutorial on what are the different moving parts between Yearn.finance and CRV. The reason being is a few weeks ago, CRV Finance launched their governance token. And so while many of us have used these pools to trade stable coins or tokenized Bitcoin, it has been challenging, I think, for some to separate what are the different options here in terms of what I can do with my money as a liquidity provider in these CRV pools, and then how I can stake that in CRV to either earn the CRV governance token, or I can put that to work in what is called a yVault. And a yVault is powered by Yearn.finance. So we're going to just talk through all these different moving parts and how they fit together. And I'm going to try to lay out what are some of the reasons that I have chosen to use some of these, new DeFi mechanisms. The first part of the puzzle to understand is what is Yearn.finance. So I think about it as a protocol that is focused on maximizing DeFi's capabilities, but through automation. So there are a number of products that they offer. The most popular and the first product they ever offered was profit switching lender to optimize lending yields called Yearn.finance. So what does that mean? Yearn.finance is a yield bouncer. It moves my lending assets from pool to pool depending on where I can earn the highest returns lending my assets. And so if we go over to yearn.finance/earn, if you go to this website, just click on earn, and then I connected my wallet, and you'll notice that there's a number of assets here that I can lend. And the idea here is that this mechanism is lending my DAI, my USDC, my Tether, my True USD, my SUSD, or wrapped Bitcoin. I can deposit any one of these and it will maximize my lending interest. So you can see that with DAI, as of today, we're earning, if I had my DAI in this pool, it would be earning a 7.2361% interest rate. And with USDC, I'd be earning 11.45%. So the idea is to not just leave my DAI or my USDC or any one of these in a single lending pool. It's to move it across different lending pools, but be able to maximize my lending interest. So the difference between what I would have to do manually versus what Yearn.finance does for me is that I could leave my DAI in compound and it's going to earn whatever the rate is. And if I were to try to move that DAI to, let's say, DYDX, that's going to cost me gas. So right now, that is very, very, very costly. So the fact that Yearn.finance automatically moves my DAI to maximize my interest rate between compound, DYDX, and Aave, that to me is very powerful. And again, I can do that with any one of these assets below. And I am maintaining exposure to a single asset here. So if I put in USDC, when I withdraw later, I'm going to have USDC. So I could go in and say, I'm going to deposit 90 USDC. And if I click earn, it'll take me through two different transactions. The first one is an approval transaction. This is the same stuff that's in all my videos. This is how all Ethereum applications work, unless you're depositing Ether, which can then allow you to do it in a single transaction. So here I am allowing Yearn to spend my USDC. I'm giving permission, and I can set the gas. So we'll just leave it at 128 Gwei right now. And then if I scroll down further, what's the permission? Well, this is unlimited permission, which is something folks will opt for so that they don't have to go through this step when they come back at a later date to deposit USDC. The reason I changed this to custom spend limit, and I'll put in exactly how much I'm going to deposit, is to protect myself. Just in case someone somehow gets control of these smart contracts, I don't want them to have permission to spend an unlimited amount of my USDC in my wallet. Okay, anyways, then I would just hit confirm, and I would have a second transaction that I would have to confirm. But that's it. That's all it takes. And then I've got my assets maximizing their lending interest. And again, I think one of the differences that I'm going to point out later here between this and Curve is that I am maintaining exposure to a single asset versus having my assets in a pool with, let's say, DAI, USDC, Tether, and TrueUSD. At that point, there becomes a risk that there could be a lack of liquidity, let's say for DAI, when I withdraw from the Curve pool. This is much simpler. I put in DAI, and what I will withdraw at a later date is DAI. Part two of this is, what is the Curve Y pool? And there are actually multiple pools in Curve that offer me exposure to different assets. Now, these are all stablecoin pools. I've got Compound, PAX, Y, BUSD, and SUSD. So those are 5 different pools. Most of them have a mix of stable coins, but they will focus on exposure to, let's say, BUSD, the Binance stablecoin, versus synthetics, the SUSD stablecoin. The Y pool is really interesting because it is actually powered by Yearn. And so what happens is, if I were to deposit any one of these 4 stable coins, I become a liquidity provider. And you can see here that there's about 762 million in stable coins that are in this pool. So I don't have this money, but if I were to put in 1 million, I would have 1 over 762 million. And so that gives you a sense of just how much you own of the pool. And it means that 1 million over 762 million, whatever percentage that is, I would get that percentage of this trading fee every time someone trades between these 4 stable coins. Because at the end of the day, these stable coin pools are all about the ability to trade between one stable coin to another. And so you could see here that if I were to trade 334 DAI for USDC, I would end up with almost 1-to-1. It would be around 335 USDC. And in this case, I would pay $42.94. Most of that is a gas fee, even though I am paying 0.04% as a fee, which gets paid to all of the liquidity providers. So just to summarize that, I have different stablecoin pools here. The 2 bottom here, these are tokenized Bitcoin pools. So I'm going to focus on these 5 up top. And the one that is very special is the Y pool, because it is also powered by Yearn.finance. Why is it powered by Yearn.finance? Because when I deposit my stable coins, although folks are trading between these, while my coins are sitting idle with another 762 million stable coins, these coins are wrapped into what is called yDAI, yUSDC, yUSDT, and yTrueUSD. So those are Yearn.finance related tokens, and that means that they are earning interest. So what's happening is they're sitting idle in the background. Again, there's a lot of liquidity here. And while that's happening, they are being lent to these different pools in DYDX, Compound, and Aave. And there's some other pools involved, but at this point, they're just using those 3 pools as of today. So this is why the Curve Y pool is special and is often referred to as yield farming, because I am simply lending money, my stable coins, and I'm earning 2 forms of yield. One has to do with that trading fee. So I'm earning a portion of all trading fees. The other is me earning lending interest based on the Yearn.finance protocol, which is maximizing lending interest for the array of stable coins that I have here. Now, if I want to participate in the Curve Y pool, or if I want to participate in any of these pools, all I have to do is go to the pool page by clicking one of these links here, which again, we'll focus on just these top 5 for right now because these are all stable coins. And then from there, I can just choose how much I want to deposit. I can deposit whatever ratio I want. I can deposit a single token here, like let's notice there's a few different options here. Use maximum amount of coins available in my wallet. So I will uncheck that so I can choose how much and don't have to use the maximum amount. I'm not going to give infinite approval. I am not depositing wrapped as in Y tokens. These are unwrapped tokens. These are just DAI, USDC, Tether, and TrueUSD. They are not YDAI, YUSDC, YTether, YTrueUSD. If I had those, I could deposit those though. And then I don't care about adding them in a balanced proportion, just because that would be kind of a pain to try to figure out the percentages here. And it's nice because Curve will actually split them up into the proper percentages for me. So let's pretend that I'm going to put in just 334 DAI. I'm going to put in 0 Tether and 0 TrueUSD. And I would do something similar to what I did with Yearn. I would just click deposit, and this would roll me through 2 transactions. One is an approval to spend my DAI. If I end up depositing more than just DAI, like USDC, there will be 2 different transactions for spending approval. So it says, allow Curve to spend your DAI. And then I would go through another transaction, allow Curve to spend your USDC. So if I do all 4 coins, that's 4 transactions, plus the final one, which is just executing the deposit to actually spend those coins and deposit them into Curve. So if you followed everything I've said so far about becoming a liquidity provider, now I'm in a position where I can earn another form of yield, which can be the Curve or CRV governance token. So the way that Curve is distributing its governance token is it's distributing it to liquidity providers. So that means that after I have become a liquidity provider in, let's say, the synthetic Bitcoin pool or the Y pool, now I have the option to hop over to the DAO, which is the Curve DAO, and it takes me here. And if I click on Minter, Minter is where I can take my liquidity provider token, which is awarded to me when I become a liquidity provider in one of those 7 different pools in Curve. So when I deposit my tokens, I receive this LP token. That's the thing that lets me claim and come back later and get all of my assets back. Well, that token can also be utilized to prove to Curve that I am in fact providing liquidity and that they should be paying me the Curve token as compensation for being a liquidity provider. Or I think the proper way really to think about it is they're meaning to award folks who are obviously believing in the protocol and participating, they're awarding me with a governance token, which gives me a voice in future upgrades and proposals to the Curve Finance protocol. So what I do is I come to this page and then I just scroll down until I find the different liquidity gauge that relates to the pools that I'm in. So there were the 7 pools. I'm not in the compound. I'm not in the compound pool. I am in the Y liquidity pool. So I would come here, and if I had that YLP token, if I hadn't already staked it earlier, I would come in and I would turn up the slider, or you could just type it in yourself, but this is convenient. And then I go through 2 transactions. Same thing as I've done with all these other applications. I click deposit. It'll ask for permission to spend my YLP token. And then I follow that up with actually depositing the YLP token. And the result of that is I end up with a balance here of what's in the gauge. And so this is where I finally finished out this process, and now I'm just earning the Curve token, which currently, based on the USD price of Curve, which today I think is around $3.50, I'm essentially earning 84.06% annualized percentage yield. And that allows me then to get paid out in this Curve token, CRV, which I can claim at any point in time. This is continually paying me, but I can click claim at any point to withdraw that. And then obviously I can do whatever I want with it. I could hold on to the token and remain long, or maybe I choose to go sell it for another token. What's also convenient is that if you're in multiple pools, so I am in the, here we go, the SBTC pool. I have one equivalent Bitcoin of liquidity in this pool, and I have staked it. And so because of that, I am actually earning the Curve token. And then I can choose, oops, here we go, to just claim it all. So I don't have to claim it individually. I can use this really convenient option to just come back and claim it all at once. One last note on being a Curve liquidity provider. So there were 2 programs powered by Synthetics to incentivize liquidity providers in the SBTC pool, which uses synthetic Bitcoin from Synthetics, as well as the SUSD pool, which is synthetic US dollar. Each one rewards LPs with SNX and REN in the SBTC pool, as well as SNX in the SUSD pool. I just want to note that if I have participated in this previously, it's imperative that I unstake or withdraw my LP tokens from minter.synthetics.io. And I'm going to come back to this DAO.curve.fi/minter/gauges, and I'm going to find the appropriate gauge, liquidity gauge for SBTC or for SUSD. And then this is where I would restake that LP token. And the cool thing here is that you'll notice that I'm doing it for the SBTC LP token, and I'm still earning the rewards that I was over on minter.synthetics.io. So these used to be controlled by this dashboard, but now I have the ability to earn the CRV Curve governance token along with those rewards from Synthetics. Lastly, I don't know if folks will be watching this far into the future, but this SBTC program ends August 28th, 2020. So if you're watching it past that date, this probably doesn't exist anymore. And the SUSD pool, I'm not quite sure when this will end. So what I was showing previously is that I can take my LP token, my IOU token, from being a liquidity provider in any of the 7 Curve pools, and I can earn the Curve governance token. However, it costs me money to come back to this and to claim. So I have to hit claim all, and that costs me some gas. And then what I'm left with is Curve. I end up with Curve in my wallet, and I can choose to remain long and hold it, or I can sell it for other tokens, which would cost me more gas to do that. However, the Yearn.finance vault automates quite a bit here in terms of profit taking. So if I go to Yearn.finance and then just click on vaults, connect my wallet, there's lots of assets here that are being used for yield farming strategies. I'm not very familiar with all of the different strategies, but I do know that when it comes to the yCrv LP token, the one that I staked in the DAO, I can choose to alternatively, instead of staking it in the Y liquidity gauge and having to manually claim my curve, I can instead come here and I can deposit that IOU token or LP token. So you'll notice I've actually already done that here. So there's my balance of the yCrv LP token. And so this then allows me to deposit that. So if I had any more of that LP token, I could click 100%, click deposit. It'll take me through the typical 2 transactions, one to give permission to spend it, and then a second one to actually deposit it. But then I'm earning 97% ROI. So this is estimated based on the USD prices of the value of my token compared to what I'm actually earning as a return. I'm automating a lot of manual effort that takes place here in the Curve DAO. This is where I would have to, again, hit claim, which costs me gas. And then let's pretend that I want to sell that Curve token, which is around $3.50 today, according to like Uniswap prices. I have to go sell it, which is another 2 transactions, which means quite a bit of gas as long as the gas prices are 100 or 200 gwei. So that brings me back to here where I have this tool that sort of automates it all. And what this is doing is it's earning the Curve CRV token, and then it's selling it for profit, and it's adding to my my yCrv token. That yCrv LP token, remember, that is like an IOU. So when I go back to this pool later, to the Y pool, I will have even more of a claim on more stable coins. So that's how I see the return here. Ultimately, I am over here in Yearn.finance in a vault, automating the earning and profit taking on the Curve governance token. And then I'm earning more and more of that IOU or yCrv LP token, which then allows me to claim more stable coins when I go here to withdraw. Another option though is I could choose to deposit Wi-Fi, any of these stable coins, and there's also an Aave interest bearing link token. This is if I have link, I could have gone to Aave, I can lend it, it's earning interest, and then I can take that A link, which represents the Aave interest bearing link, and I can do the exact same thing I did up above. I can deposit it, and now I'm earning 67.8% ROI according to the numbers today. So when it comes to automating lots and lots of manual work, which can cost me lots of gas, this is pretty awesome for me to be able to save on that gas and save on that time and continue to maximize returns. If you want to learn more about the yield farming strategies behind this, I would encourage going to gov.yearn.finance. There is all sorts of forums here, but there's one in particular on governance, vaults, and why Wi-Fi. So anyways, if you go in here and start searching, there's quite a bit of information. Um, all right, so let's go ahead and recap all the different risks that I consider. First, as always, there's smart contract risk. That is always top of mind for me. And I have smart contract risk related to Yearn.finance, uh, just the uh, protocol that's actually providing for lending interest. There's risk there. On top of that, it's exposing me to DYDX, Compound, and Aave. So I'm lending my assets at any one time to one of those three pools. So I have to be comfortable with my money being lent to those three different platforms. On top of that, I have exposure to CRV. And on top of just CRV, I now am using the new CRV DAO. This is if I choose to use the liquidity gauges instead of the yVaults that I showed at the very end there. So if I'm using this, these are newer, less tested smart contracts. So that's another bit of risk related to bugs in the code that I might worry about. And then lastly, there are the yVaults, which was an alternative to earning it manually in the CRV DAO. I can automate all of that and deposit my yCrv LP token or any one of these assets here that were listed. But then I'm exposed to the smart contracts of Yearn, and I'm also exposed to any platforms involved in the yield farming strategies that are powering each one of these different assets that are being used for yield farming to generate the ROI that you see here. The one part of this equation that's really missing is I'm not going to cover the different yield farming strategies. I don't really understand all of them in depth, but the one I do understand more of is this yCrv vault, which is the one that I'm using. And one of the simpler parts of the strategy is that it's earning the CRV governance token, and then it's selling it for profit, and then it's adding to my yCrv LP. The second risk that I consider is risk around the liquidity, especially around DAI. If I am in the yCrv pool, there's about 765 million in terms of stable coins there, but there's only 5% DAI. If I need DAI, let's pretend I deposit DAI, and then that is DAI from a Maker vault. So I have a loan with MakerDAO, and the price of ETH is crashing, and I need that DAI to pay back my loan. If I come back to withdraw my money, there's a chance that this pool could have no DAI in it. There's a chance that it could have very little. There's a chance I might have to pay an extremely high premium to get that DAI because it's so in demand and everyone's trying to get it. So that would be like a liquidity crunch, and that would not be good. So that's the other risk I have to consider, especially in terms of using DAI in these pools. The third risk I think about is I'm exposed to these different stable coins. So if any one of the pegs fails, if it doesn't hold to a dollar peg, that's also not good for the value of the assets that I'm holding. And then I also think about the peg for these tokenized Bitcoins. So that's Ren Bitcoin, Wrapped Bitcoin, and Synthetic Bitcoin. All right, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please comment on the YouTube video. You can also comment on my tweets at DeFi_dad. I try to do my best to answer all questions there. Please forgive me. There's been lots more questions lately. Sometimes it's harder to get to all of them, but I really, really do try hard. And then beyond that, please subscribe to my YouTube channel here. If you go to defidad.com, DEFIDAD.com, it'll take you to the YouTube channel here. And then you can click on playlists if you're newer to DeFi. And there's a great playlist here that I continually update and reorganize called DeFi for Beginners. Even if you are very crypto literate and you've been in the crypto space for some time, but you're just getting yourself acquainted with DeFi, this is a great playlist. It's got lots and lots of videos that I've made on both my channel here as well as Bankless. I make a video once a week for Bankless tutorials, so there's a lot of great videos there as well, and I've organized all of those into a playlist here. And then beyond that, I'd say the second most popular playlist is yield farming. So there's lots and lots of yield farming ideas, strategies, tutorials there that I've walked through. And so that can be super helpful as well. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.